songs, let me tell you about a friend. It's Craig LeBlanc where the good times never end. Talking Parks and Rec, it's a show you gotta know. Welcome one and all to the Daily Parks and Rec Show. It's the Daily Parks and Rec Show.
I think community partners are everything. I talked about community feedback when it came to like bands and things like that. But community, just partnerships in general, are everything. They may know something that we may not know, or something that we may overlook. Coming together and involving other organizations and companies to be a part of something that you have going on, such as an event, is everything.
All right. This is Craig LeBlanc with the Daily Parks and Rec Show. This is our leadership series, Monday through Thursday, 12 noon Eastern Time. We'd like to welcome everybody to the whole DPRS Media Network family. We are now a family of shows and show hosts that are specifically dedicated to Parks and Rec industry only. And now we have 10 shows that we produce each day and each week. Let me run through them real quick. So typically on a Monday, we have this show, followed by twice a month, we do a show on smart parks. And so these are like the hardware trying to get your park systems interconnected. And that's hosted by our host, Dave Ramirez. On Tuesdays, every Tuesday, 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time, we have On the Front Line with Jonathan Prue. He has been, it's military Parks and Rec, basically Parks and Rec in the military, also known as MWR. So he has been connected in this industry for pretty much his entire career, and brings on some of the greatest Parks and Rec professionals in our military every Tuesday, 1:30 p.m. Eastern. Wednesday, we have a couple of shows that we do at that 1:30 time slot. So the Rec Room is one of our oldest shows, and it's where we've partnered with Henry County, Georgia, one of the greatest park departments in America. And they just kind of bring all their leadership and just basically show how they run their Parks and Rec department. So it's almost like a behind the scenes, pull the curtain back on how they run their programming, their special events. I mean, you name it. They come on the second Wednesday of every month and do that. And then one of their members, Thomas White, who's an amazing Parks and Rec professional. If you haven't heard Thomas White speak, he's just an amazing speaker. And I think one of the up and coming Parks and Rec professionals here in America. He does something, it's called Safe Spaces, and it's where we talk about neurodivergence and all the different personality traits and stuff. And so it's a really good show that he suggested we launch. And so we're helping him produce and launch that one. And then that brings us to Thursdays. Every Thursday, 1:30 p.m. Eastern, the U Sports Mastery Show with host Aaron Locks. It's, I think, officially our oldest show, aside from the leadership series that I run. And it's all things youth sports. Aaron has spent his entire life in coaching and youth sports and athletics, and he has some of the greatest contacts across the country, and he gets some amazing guest speakers. So if you're an athletic director or wanting to just learn more about youth sports, definitely check that show out. And now we've moved our Young Professionals Network also on Thursdays, 5 p.m., talk about all the young professionals coming into the industry. And then our latest edition is our weekly show on Friday is the Aquatics Life with host Wesley King, another great professional that has spent decades in aquatics. And I'm really excited about that show. I think we just recorded our fourth one this last Friday. So that's kind of the lineup. Now, before we get started, we're going to play a promo that kind of shows all that laid out. And then big shout out to today's show sponsor, which is Outdoor Link. And Outdoor Link, in addition to sponsoring the Daily Parks and Rec Show from day one, if you have a smart home and your thought is, man, it would be great to have a smart city that does a lot of the same things that my home can do, where I can turn on the lights and open up garage doors, turn on the AC. So imagine that you can do that exact same thing with your entire park system, turning on and off baseball field lights, splash pads, opening up and closing door locks at certain times. And for a very affordable price. I think one of their units is like $950. It comes with its own Wi-Fi connection, so it doesn't pull on your local Wi-Fi connection. Or it's got like a, what do you call it? Its own cell phone universal chip. So it uses one of the strongest carriers that's available in your area. And you can control up to 4 fields. So for like 4 baseball fields, you can put on a timer, you can schedule it, you can give access to coaches and then pull it after them after season. And so you're not having to like make all these copies of keys and padlocks and stuff like that. So really amazing company. Good friends with the founder over there. So thank you so much, DJ, for supporting the Daily Parks and Rec show. And big shout out to Tasha and Dave, which are kind of getting the word out about what Outdoor Link does for the Parks and Rec system. And Dave is actually a 30-year veteran of Parks and Recreation out of Hillsborough County in Florida. So a really solid team. I really appreciate all that they've done in supporting us. So Joby, why don't you go ahead and play those 2 promos real quick. And then when we come back, we'll start our conversation with Reggie.
Welcome to DPRS Media Network, the voice of Parks and Recreation professionals, where leadership grows, facilities thrive, and communities connect. Leadership Series, insights from the leaders shaping our industry. Facility Maintenance, the backbone of safe and sustainable spaces. Young Professionals Network, empowering the next generation of Parks and Rec leaders. The Rec Room, real conversations, real stories, real impact. Youth Sports Mastery, elevating the game for athletes and communities. Smart Parks Forward, innovation driving the future of recreation. On the front line, honoring those who serve our communities every day. Athletes Commute, the journey behind the performance. The Aquatics Life, everything aquatics, safety, staffing, sustainability. Safe Spaces and Green Spaces, a show exploring the connection between nature and mental well-being. And we don't just tell the stories, we show up where it happens. From local gatherings to national parks and recreation conferences, DPRS Media Network is on the ground, capturing conversations, highlighting innovation, and amplifying the voices shaping our industry's future. DPRS Media Network, connecting parks, empowering people, inspiring communities.
In today's parks and recreation industry, communication, safety, and efficiency go hand in hand. That's where Outdoor Link comes in, delivering smart technology that empowers city departments and community planners to do more, smarter. Outdoor Link's platform connects and automates everything that keeps your parks running smoothly, from lighting and locks to signage, water features, Wi-Fi, and digital advertising. Control and schedule park lights for safety and energy savings. Remotely manage facility access. Update digital displays in real time. Coordinate fountains and splash pads. Provide public connectivity. And even run community or sponsorship campaigns on digital screens. All from one simple, unified platform, giving you real-time control, data, and cost efficiency. For parks and recreation agencies, that means safer spaces, smarter resource use, faster responses, and stronger community engagement. And behind every great park story is great infrastructure. That's why Outdoor Link proudly supports DPRS Media Company, helping the Daily Parks and Rec Show amplify the voices of professionals shaping our communities every day. Outdoor Link, smart, connected solutions for parks, recreation, and beyond.
All right, go ahead and bring Reggie up. Reggie is coming from Spartanburg County, South Carolina. Welcome to the show, Reggie. How are you doing?
I'm good. How about yourself?
Fantastic. Had a good weekend. How'd your weekend go?
It went pretty well. The weather was good, which is like we've talked about before, man. The weather is 1 week get snow, next week 70, 80 degrees. But for the most part, man, me and my wife just took it easy and watched some college basketball.
Yeah. How are you? How's your teams doing on basketball?
Terrible, man. I had two brackets. I had so my women's bracket is doing really well. We got South Carolina women taking it all the way, and then for the males bracket, I had Duke. So,
man, I haven't been paying attention. How's Kentucky doing? Are they in the race?
I'm not exactly sure. I'm not exactly sure if Kentucky is still in the race or not. But I know UConn they hit a dagger last night, a deep 3-pointer to take the lead or to take the win on and beat Duke. But I'm not sure. I'm not so sure about Kentucky.
Yeah, I used to be a Kentucky cheerleader back in the day,
Oh
and
yeah.
I wasn't big in the basketball, but I had the best seat in the house,
Oh yeah.
courtside. And they take basketball to a whole nother level. I think their team is similar to kind of Duke. I forget who the winningest teams are in college basketball, but I know they were kind of up there as far as kind of the legacy they've had.
Yeah, for a while, Kentucky was really good in the early. I want to say around 2010 when John Wall and DeMarcus Cousins they went on a run. But I think more recently they've been kind of hit or miss. But for the most part, they're always a contender.
Yeah. And then my home college was LSU, so I don't know if LSU ever makes it up there. I think we had something when we had Shaquille for a little bit, and
Oh yeah.
I'm
So
not sure.
for women, you guys do a really good job. But for men,
Yeah, that's
I
right.
think it's kind of hit or miss.
Yeah, it gets really competitive with the men there. All right, so why don't you? So I know you're a 30 under 30 recipient. I'm just curious, how do they nominate or find the 30 under 30? It's each year, correct?
Yes, I believe they've been doing it for a couple years now. I
Okay.
think I'm not exactly sure how the process works. I know that people tend to nominate
Uh-huh.
certain individuals, and I think from there, NRPA has a committee, and I think
Uh-huh.
they look into it, and then from there, they select certain individuals just based on what they might have done for Parks and Recreation, and luckily, I was a winner. Don't really know exactly how it happened, but I'm truly appreciative and thankful
Yeah.
to
Well,
be a winner.
yeah, and how long have you been in NRPA, and when did you start in Parks and Recreation?
So, man, I got started with the city of Spartanburg I'm going on 7 years this
Mhm.
year. So I originally was a part-time recreation leader, and my day to day, just pretty much looked like riding around and making sure the parks look good. So I would come in the morning, ride around, check out. We had about 19 parks, I believe, and so go from park to park to make sure that the upkeep and everything was going well and functioning properly. And then
Inside and outside, like playgrounds, grass. You just
yeah,
kind of looked over it all.
yes, sir, the whole nine. And then from time to time, I would work at our recreation centers as well. We have three of them, so we just kind of float in between centers and parks throughout
Yeah.
the week.
So you've been at Spartanburg your entire career in Parks
I
and Rec?
have. I've been with the city of Spartanburg ever since I graduated from college.
Fantastic. Okay, so you're not with Spartanburg County, it's just the city of Spartanburg.
City of Spartanburg, yes,
Okay,
sir.
I wrote that down wrong. Let
No,
me go ahead and correct my error here.
easy to get the two mixed up for sure.
Yeah. And so y'all have what, about 40,000 people in y'all city? Is
About
there
40,000 in the city and about 400,000, I would say, collectively in the county.
Wow, that's big. What metro areas kind of aside from y'all, or is there any of the other big South Carolina metros close by?
Are you familiar at all with Greenville by chance?
No, let's see. What's the big South Carolina city? Is that Charlotte? I know
No,
that's
Charlotte
that's
is
North
North
Carolina.
Carolina, but it's fairly close. We're about an hour 15 from Charlotte, so
Okay.
it's a skip and a hop away.
Yeah, not too bad. So what got you interested in arts and recreation? Were you involved as a child in kind of youth sport? Did you
I
know
would
about?
say I would say growing up, I was always somewhat familiar with Parks and Recreation. My mom, she worked part-time for a couple of years, and from time to time, I would go and play basketball at the facility that she was working at. And then also, growing up, we used to have a big festival called the Spring Fling. And from the time I was in elementary school all the way up into high school, that was like a must. Like everybody knew to make sure that you check out the Spring Fling that weekend. It was a 3 day event.
And so describe that event.
So a huge festival that would take place downtown. Lots of food, lots of entertainment, lots of vendors, and it would be from for 3 days. So Friday would be the start, and Friday we would partner with PAL, who is a local community partner as well, and we would be like a bike race that Friday night. That would be like the kickoff. It would be like the bike race, and then we would have food, things like that. And then Saturday it was an all day shindig where
Mhm.
I mean from 11 in the morning all the way until 9 p.m. It's lots of, I mean, 4 or 5 stages for bands and artists to perform on. I mean, 40 to 50 different food vendors, lots of artisan vendors, and so it would be like the whole weekend. So people would travel throughout
Mm.
the southeast, I would say, to attend this Spring Fling Festival.
That might have been some foreshadowing there. That's maybe where you got your special events bug back then.
And I had no idea that my journey would lead me into special events. But yeah, like growing up, Spring Fling was like a really big deal in the upstate for sure.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's go ahead and dive into that conversation in special events. So, what now? There was a live music special, or wasn't there like a big special event that you kind of helped organize?
So yeah, so when I first transitioned into special events, we were still doing the Spring Fling. Now we don't do it anymore, but
Mhm.
the first couple years that I was in special events, we still did Spring Fling. So we have that music festival, and then we also have what we call Music on Main, and that is a 18-week literally from April until July, which now it actually goes to August. But every single Thursday from 5:30 to 8:30, we would have a band in our downtown Morgan Square area, and so that was like another big music series that we all like always pretty much done from
Mhm.
years ago. I mean, we're probably talking 25, 30 years at this point.
Wow. Now, we have something like that similar in New Orleans. I want to say, I forget how many Wednesdays it runs, but similar. It's probably like 18, 20 weeks every Wednesday in Lafayette Square. They have like live music, probably about 30 food vendors.
Oh my
And it's just amazing, like the crowd that shows up and right in the heart of downtown, kind of the business district of New Orleans, and it's a similar event, and it's just kind of taken on a life of its own. I'm not even sure who. I think now it's kind of its own thing. I know some special events can get so massive that they kind of outgrow the Parks and Rec department and have their own everything. So let's kind of dissect what a special event is. So imagine you're like a young Parks and Rec professional, and you get kind of you have to wear the special events hat. Maybe describe just from someone that doesn't even understand what a special event is and how the Parks and Rec does that. What's kind of the basic structure of a special event?
I would say the basic structure, honestly, they all look different, to be honest with you. I mean, they all look different, but the concept is usually somewhat the same. There's
Mhm,
usually 9 times out of 10 there's some form of entertainment, whether
mhm,
that's music by a band or a DJ. Then there's always going to be that aspect of eating. You got to have,
mhm,
in order for it to be a special event, there has to be some type of food. And then depending on the style of it, there might be vendors selling things. And so I think they all can look different, but they all have somewhat a lot of the same concept: food,
mhm.
entertainment, vendors.
Yeah, that's basic.
Yeah.
And then there's a lot of collaboration and coordination with cities. Now, were you ever kind of the head lead on one special event, or you just kind of help somebody that did that?
I would say Music on Main was probably the main event that I would say that I would lead, and that was the one that I said would go for 18 weeks from April to
Mhm,
July with the weekly music and entertainment. Because like my job in special events was more so catered towards entertainment, so that made the most sense for me to kind of take on that leadership role and programming that particular event.
Now, was that kind of like a year-long thing, or it took like 6 months a year? I know there's a lot of planning that goes in pretty much year-round, huh?
It's year round because I mean Music on Main would always be like the kickoff to our event season because, spring is pretty much what starts it off. So Music on Main, with it being in April, would usually be the first event. But because we have so many events, everything just pretty much just runs. So from January all the way pretty much to December, you're just planning for a multitude of events.
And so what does some of the planning workload look like when the event's not during the 18 weeks, but what are the other, whatever, 40 or 50 weeks look like?
Well, to be honest, Craig, it doesn't stop because April kicks off Music on Main, and then right after that we roll into our Juneteenth celebration. And right after that is our Red, White, and Boom, which is our 4th of July. And then right after that in October, we have our International Festival. And then right after that in December, we have our Dickens of a Christmas celebration.
Oh, wow.
So once April starts, we're wide open. So it's funny because we oftentimes have to plan 2 events at the same time. So while we're planning for like Music on Main, for example, with Juneteenth being 2 months out, you're already planning. I'm already looking for bands for Juneteenth. And then right after Juneteenth, you're looking for that Red, White, and Boom band. So a lot of times you're planning for 2 or 3 events at one time.
All right. Well, let's kind of start with each bucket. We'll talk about the entertainment. What do y'all look for as far as, a good entertainer? What are the kind of, I don't know if it's contracts or, how far in advance do you try to book them? What does that look like as far as the entertainment side?
So as far as entertainment goes, obviously, with our events, they're all, free events for the community. So, it's very important for us to try to pull, I would say, local acts to give them that opportunity to perform in their hometown or somewhere where they live. So a lot of our entertainment does come from like a lot of like local acts that may be in Spartanburg, Greenville, a good bit from North Carolina, and some from Georgia as well. But we try to use a lot of entertainment that's local and what people are familiar with, and we also really pay attention to the feedback that we're getting, and we try to get a lot of insight on what the people attending the events, what they want to hear, and who they seem to gravitate towards to the most. So a lot of the entertainment that we use are somewhat, I would say, somewhat local.
Now, you want to book these 6 months in advance, or?
So I would say typically 2 to 3 months in advance is how we kind of usually do it, because everything, to be honest, 6 months is usually the plan, but because the events, they just happen so rapid, they come in such a rapid pace, the plan might be to book them 6 months in advance, but everything happens so fast, it's like you might get kind of somewhat pushed back a little bit to where it's like, okay, the plan might have been 6 months, but it ended up being 2 or 3 months in advance, but definitely at least 2 months prior to when we're having the event for sure.
Now, does the city have its own kind of stage and sound equipment, or do you hire like a third party to come in and do all that for y'all?
That's a great question. So depending on the event, so Music on Main, we have a built-in stage in our downtown area. For Juneteenth, which is at Barnett Park, which is a really nice park that has its own built-in amphitheater, so we use that. Red, White, and Boom, we use our stage. Honestly, it just depends on the event. We've done both. We have someone who we use when we want to bring in a stage, but we also have our own stages. So it really just depends. It's a little bit of both. And as far as sound goes, we have 2 companies that we typically like to work with.
Yeah. Now, as far as all the setup and day of and tear down, are y'all using Parks and Rec, the facilities maintenance crews to kind of set all that up for y'all, barricades and everything?
So as far as setting up barricades, we have our police department that handles that. As far as like tents and things like that, sometimes we hire out, depending on if we're providing the tents or not. The the vendors are bringing their own tents, then they typically will set their own tents up. But if they need help just bringing equipment in and things like that, then we have staff
Yeah.
on site to kind of help with that. And then, of course, with the sound production company that we have, they have their own team to kind of help navigate when it
Yeah.
comes to the sound and production and bringing things in.
Now, I know you've got to kind of give the police roughly the size of the crowd, how many people they can let in an area. How do y'all try to predict? I know it's not it's a rough science to try to predict how many people are going to show up.
It is, man, because every year I would say all of our events are growing. And so, even we might think that we might estimate that we're going to have 6,000 and it might be 8,500. So it just depends. I mean, I think we always give that estimate, but just also let them know that, hey, this is what we're predicting, but just don't be surprised if an additional 2,000 people show up,
Yeah. Now, who are the departments that y'all work with? Obviously, police and fires, or anyone else that kind of needs to know.
Yeah, absolutely. Police, fire, EMS,
Yeah.
grounds, EMS, grounds. Who else?
Now, who is grounds? Is that the Parks and Rec department, or whoever the
Oh,
park?
it's actually its own department, but we do a lot together. I mean, they handle, the upkeep of our, parks and things like that. So we're not one department, but we do work closely together for sure.
Mm. Now, how about do y'all work with the mayor's office, or does anybody kind of come and speak, or who kind of is the mic man for the whole show? Is that the band? Or, yeah.
Yeah, we usually have an MC. We usually hire out for that. That's not really my wheelhouse, to get on the mic and try to keep the crowd going. That would be a little bit out of my comfort zone. So we usually hire out, maybe get someone from like the radio station or something like that. Somebody that has that expertise to keep the crowd going.
Yeah, keep it going, introduce different people, bands coming on the stage and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a whole career path. You can actually be a professional for hire MC person when you have some of these big events. Do y'all ever hire any of those?
We've never hired like a mainstream MC.
Yeah, because I've been to some big events and they'll hire like a professional MC that like keeps the crowd amped up and introduces the next ones. And it's amazing how gifted they are at that craft of just, working the audience through the mic on stage.
Yeah, it's definitely something that I don't personally have. But yeah, we usually use we'll usually hire somebody from like a radio, like one of our local radio stations or something like that, and they come out and have a good time. Yeah. We also have a really good volunteer that we use. She does all of our stuff at Music on Main, and yeah, so we have volunteers, and we also hire out, just depending on the event for sure.
Now let's talk more about before we get on to the next two topics. Let's talk about the volunteer. Who's managing that? How many do y'all have? Maybe how many staff members work typically an event, and then in proportion, how many volunteers per staff person do y'all have to manage?
Man, I guess depending on the magnitude of the event, and like where the event is taking place. So for an event like Music on Main, so to say, everything is so close together. As far as like staff and oversight, we don't need too many people on hand, maybe like one or two staff, an officer or two, and maybe one volunteer or so. But because everything is just in such a enclosed, I would say, space, manpower is not as heavy for like a Music on Main like it would be for an international festival or a Juneteenth festival. So I would say maybe 3 to 4 staff in total at Music on Main, like EMS person, a police officer, a staff member, and maybe like a volunteer. So like 3 or 4 staff for like an international festival. I mean, we're probably looking, that's like an all staff type deal. I mean, you're looking probably at 20 staff, officers, EMS, of course, and fire. So just depending on like the magnitude of the event, kind of like decides how many staff we'll need. So it just ranges from like 4 all the way up to like 20, depending on like the size of the event.
And now, where are you getting your volunteers from? Are these like some of the part-time workers that are working in Parks and Rec, or how do you kind of volunteer for?
Yes and no. So some staff are part time, but when we do have certain events, like the bigger events, we do like an all call that we post online, and people can just sign, like volunteers can just sign up and register through like our
Hmm.
online portal.
Hmm. Okay. All right. Well, we're kind of at the halfway point. I wanted to play a couple of promos for the live events that we attend. So, the Daily Parks and Rec Show is mostly a digital company that produces content for the Parks and Rec industry. However, that being said, we do attend NRPA, TRAPS, California, Georgia. I think we try to attend about a dozen state events. And when I say state events, I'm talking about the Parks and Rec associations that put on the annual events 2 or 3 days throughout in the given year. And so we've been invited to actually cover that. And two that we just finished up in January, we did the great state of Illinois, who takes Parks and Rec to a whole nother level. And then also California is quite a large state, does a great job. Big shout out to Steph Stevens over there. She's the executive director for the association. And so if you have a Parks and Rec, if you're the executive director and you'd like us to come, I think we only have like 1 or 2 slots left. I'm pretty sure we're going to Connecticut. They kind of reached out to us and stuff. But if you'd like the Daily Parks and Rec Show to attend your live event and cover it and make you a promo for it, similar to the 2 that you're going to watch. And then, Jovi, if you don't mind, on the back of that, go ahead and play our 400th episode, because we're coming up on our 500th episode. So we made a big thank you promo for getting us to 400 episodes, and we're 13 shows away from our 500th episode, which is a big milestone. So we'll play those 3 promos real quick, and then we'll come back and finish up our conversation with Reggie.
It started with a shared purpose, a vision to bring people together, to inspire, to learn, and to lead. And at CPRS Conference 2026, that vision came to life. From every conversation to every connection made, this wasn't just an event, it was a community in motion. Ideas were challenged, perspectives were expanded, and leaders stepped forward, ready to shape the future of parks and recreation. At DPRS Media Network, we had the privilege of capturing it all. The passion, the innovation, the stories that deserve to be seen and heard. Because these moments don't just stay here, they ripple outward, into communities, into programs, into lives. To the organizers, the speakers, the partners, and every single attendee, thank you. For showing up, for sharing your voice, and for being part of something bigger than all of us. This is more than a conference. This is a movement. And DPRS Media Network will continue to tell your story every step of the way. We'll see you at the next one. This year, we didn't just attend an event. We became part of something bigger. IPRA 2026 brought together leaders, innovators, and community builders, all united by one mission: to strengthen parks, recreation, and the people they serve. For DPRS Media Network, it was an honor to join IPRA 2026 and take part in meaningful, real-time conversations, capturing stories and amplifying voices that matter. To IPRA, thank you for creating a space where collaboration thrives and the future of parks and recreation is shaped together. We extend our deepest gratitude to Amelia and all our partners who made these live interviews possible. IPRA 2026 wasn't just an event, it was a reminder that when communities connect and stories are shared, impact follows. From all of us at DPRS Media Network, thank you, IPRA. Thank you, partners and sponsors. We're honored to stand with you and excited for what's next. It didn't start with a studio, or a big budget, or a perfect plan. It started with belief. Belief that stories matter. Belief that voices deserve to be heard. Belief that community is powerful. What began as a single conversation has grown into something far bigger than us. Today we pause, we reflect, and we say thank you. To our guests, thank you for showing up, for being honest, for trusting us with your stories and letting the world hear them. To our partners and sponsors, thank you for standing with us when the vision was still taking shape. Your belief gave this network its foundation. And to our audience, the ones who listened, who watched, who shared, who believed. You didn't just support DPRS Media Network, you built it. This past year changed everything. We grew our shows, we raised our standards, we reached new communities, and we told stories that needed to be told. From parks and recreation to sports, youth, technology, and culture. We learned something important. Growth isn't about numbers, it's about impact. As we grow, our mission becomes clear. Our mission is to create media that matters, media that educates, media that inspires, media that connects people through honest, human storytelling. To spotlight the people, the programs, and the ideas shaping parks, recreation, sports, and the future of our shared spaces. And our vision is bold. We envision a media network that doesn't just document the world, but helps shape it, where local voices spark global change, where communities see themselves reflected, and where media is a force for good. The future ahead is bigger than any single episode. More voices, more stories, more collaboration. Live events, original films, deeper conversations, and a growing community united by purpose. From episode 1 to episode 400, thank you for believing when it was hard. Thank you for staying when it was uncertain. And thank you for walking this journey with us. This is DPRS Media Network, built by community, driven by purpose, powered by stories. And we're just getting started.
All right. Hard to believe that we're quickly approaching our 500th episode. It's crazy that we've only been doing this for 14 months, and this is where we are.
Congratulations on that, by the way. That's awesome, man.
Yeah, thank you. All right, so let's go into kind of the community partners. So what do the community partnerships look like when putting on a special event? And then what types of community partners are you looking for?
I think community partners are everything, man. Like I mentioned a little bit earlier, I think when it comes to, and I talked about community feedback when it came to like bands and things like that, but community just partnerships in general are everything because they may know something that we may not know or something that we may overlook, or you know what I mean? So like coming together and involving other organizations and companies to be a part of something that you have going on, such as an event, is everything because you just get that collaboration. You get different ideas, you get community buy-in. So it's everything.
Yeah. Yep. And so now when you talk community partners, we're obviously talking about sponsors. So this is people that want to sponsor it, maybe have their logo associated with it. And what is in your experience, kind of what's the range of price tags that you can have? Is it like a couple thousand, couple hundred, 10,000? I don't even know where we land. And I know it depends on the size of the event.
Yeah, of course. So it ranges. So, I mean, I think you nailed it on the head. It can be as small as a couple $100s to up to $5,000, maybe even $10,000 as like a percentage sponsor, as like the stage sponsor for one of our events where we maybe try to bring in maybe like a national act or something like that. So it varies. It varies depending on the magnitude of the event and how many people we're expecting, and if they feel like it makes sense on their end to pour X amount of money into something, you know, not necessarily knowing, what the attendance or crowd
Yeah.
participation, would look like. But it varies. It varies.
Yeah. Now, if you're in charge of getting community sponsors, who's like the usual suspects? Is it like an architecture firm or just a big local business or maybe like a big industry, maybe like a big chemical plant next door or something?
Man, you must have done your homework, man. Piedmont Natural Gas. Piedmont Natural Gas is like a legitimate go-to and has been like a go-to company that has been like a very generous sponsor for the past, I would say, at least maybe 5 to 10 years.
Yeah. Yeah, because a lot of these big heavy industries, they employ a lot of people. They're trying to have a good name. Maybe they're trying not to be the villain of the community if they're like a big coal plant or something. So they're
Man,
always kind of looking for ways to say, "Hey, we love the community. Here's our name."
they
Don't
have
get
been a generous sponsor for some time now, and for Music on Main specifically, and a lot of their staff, they actually attend the events, and then one of those Thursdays we'll do a appreciation night for them, and all their
yeah,
staff will come out, and we'll purchase a tent and just give them a space, like a, I guess, like a private space for them to enjoy the show for the night.
yeah. And so what are they looking to kind of get out of it? And then I'd also like to talk about what does that phone conversation look like? So who are you calling over there? And it's like, hey, I'm hitting y'all up for another 5 grand this year, or
Man, so I think with them, because they've been doing it for so long now, man, this is one of those things that we already know. We just hit them up.
right.
Hey, it's that time of the year again. Let's get to it. And so
Yeah.
they're usually fast about the commitment. It's almost like a guaranteed thing.
Yeah.
This year they've been great. I mean, every year they've been great.
Yeah. And then what are some of the other ones? If it's not like a big plant or anything like that, are you hitting up local restaurants or law firms or who else are good candidates for these sponsorship
Radio
packages?
radio stations have always been
Ah,
pretty good about being sponsors, I would say. And then of course you have like maybe like a renewal by Anderson or something like that. So it kind of varies, but
mhm,
radio stations typically they're going to want to be a part of an event. And on their end, a lot of the times it's usually like a trade off. So they'll do like the radio ads for us. And so it's like it works perfectly for them because they can,
right.
showcase or highlight what they have going on at our event. Then on vice versa, they can run like the radio ads to promote
Ah, okay.
some of the events that we're having. So that works
Yes.
perfectly.
So y'all are looking at kind of like in kind contributions where you need to get the word out for your event so it's well attended.
Right.
Of course, they want people to know about the radio station. So during
They're
the
gonna
event,
drive. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Are there any face plants or catastrophes you've had with vendors or something that didn't quite work out? You don't have to mention any names, but
Right, right. Yeah.
maybe is there some landmines to maybe a young professional in special events you can maybe warn them about?
Man, I think the best advice that I could give to someone that is working in special events, if they're specifically working in entertainment,
Uh-huh.
I would say it's always important to have a backup band.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
Yes,
That would be
absolutely.
a catastrophe if the band didn't show up.
Craig, listen, man. So for Music on Main, like I mentioned earlier, they're on Thursdays, and one particular band reached out to me on a Wednesday evening, and I mean everything was set in stone. We had been promoting that they'll be here on Thursday. They had even been promoting it, and then that Wednesday evening, I mean contract signed, everything's good to go. The check is ready for them. All they got to do is just show up after the show. We hand them the check, and so I got a call that Wednesday evening from one of the band members saying that they had no idea that they were supposed to be performing in Spartanburg the next day, and this was a band that was out of town. And mind you, they had been promoting and everything, and then just
Oh,
out of the blue, I get a call on that evening saying that they wouldn't be able to make it. So I had about 24 hours, little less than 24 hours how to pivot. And so luckily, you know, we always try to do a good job of just having people like bands like a waiting list almost, so to say. And so that was a time where it really paid off just having like a band on standby because like I said, less than 24 hours and just had to figure something out. And
Yeah.
so had to get with our communications department to let them know like, hey, this band won't be able to make it, but we got a band. And so just having to reposition for the next day and for Music on Main, but luckily we was able to still make it happen.
Wow.
So advice I would give to somebody working in special events that books bands is always have a band or
Yeah.
two. Just in case, like an additional band or two, just in case there's a no-show, because things do happen, man.
Right.
I mean, we're all human, you know, things come up, and so they weren't
Right.
able to make it. So luckily, there was another band that we was able to have fill in for them. So
Now I have no idea what bands make on this. So what's the compensation price range from like a small event? They'll give the band $500 on up to like what's the most you've ever paid a band?
man, Craig, with the good juicy questions. So so we paid, I think on the lower side, I would say maybe like 600-700.
Mhm.
On the higher side, 20,000.
Wow.
But
And so that,
the 20,000, man, it actually was an artist, so it wasn't a full band. It's a guy by the name of Bobby Valentino. He's an R&B singer. He actually came out to our Juneteenth celebration last year, and so that was the ticket. But as far as a band, I would say 11,000.
yeah.
I know we paid a band 11,000, but we definitely paid an artist 20. But
Yeah.
they range just depending on how many members and equipment they're bringing. It's just different factors that kind of like tie into like how much a band might charge. But I mean, like I said, as low as we paid $500-$700, but we
Yeah.
paid an artist 20. But the highest band I would say is about 11.
Yeah. Yeah, and I imagine if you get a well-known band, they can really turn out the crowd if they know them. So, and that can really affect the bottom line as far as how much your vendors are making.
Exactly.
And so, all right, so let's go into the vendor community. I know this is huge. Thank God for food trucks, man. I don't remember food trucks much going up, but now it's like food trucks are everywhere.
It's the hot commodity, man. I mean,
Yeah.
I think the food, man, you have people that'll hop in the car and drive 2 hours for a good food truck.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, the food trucks is definitely a major draw for our events for sure.
And so how many food vendors are y'all kind of managing on the small events on up to the big events?
On a smaller scale event, we're probably looking at about maybe 3 to 4. Then on a larger scale event, I mean, like I said, with Spring Fling, man, we used to do about 30 to 40, but we no longer do that event. So it can range from about 3 to 4 all the way up to maybe 20, I would say.
And that's somewhat of a little revenue producer. I know a lot of park systems do it different. Sometimes it's a percentage of what you just pay like 10%. Other ones it's just like a flat $200 and you get electricity. Kind of what's the range on what y'all do and how y'all handle it?
And we've done both. We've done both depending on the event. We've done flat fee of $200-$300, and we've also done, hey, just give us X, just a certain percentage. It just it varies on the event, but I think we could potentially be moving more towards just a flat fee. I don't know exactly. I know there's been discussion about maybe going that route because the other route is really just an honor system, which has worked fine. But just depending on the event, we've done both. We've done both, and both work well.
Now, do you try to say, we don't want 10 taco trucks?
Absolutely. Absolutely. But that's the fun part. Like just having to, we got them broken down into like different categories, and we just try to choose maybe no more than 2 from each category. You don't have 2 barbecue food trucks or 2 maybe soul food or 2 taco spots. So because at the end of the day, we want them to profit as well. It's not even about like necessarily saying like, oh, it's not what we want to do, but we want to do it just out of consideration for them.
Yeah.
That way they're not competing with each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, that event we attended last Wednesday definitely needed more than one barbecue food vendor because they had like 100 people in their line and everybody else had like maybe 10.
Yeah. So in cases like that, it's different now. But
seems like everybody wanted barbecue last Wednesday. And it was kind of a well-known restaurant and brand. So I think they saw that restaurant and be like, I won't care how long I'm waiting in that line.
What I want.
But I'm just blown away by the quality of food, these food trucks. I mean, you think it's a food truck, so it's going to be like fast food. I'm like, this is almost like what they're serving in their restaurant.
I mean, they're cooking it fresh. Like, cooking it to order. As soon as nothing is hardly ever nowadays pre-made. They're making it like hot and fresh, and they're getting it out at a pretty impressive time, considering the space that they have to work with.
Yeah.
It's impressive.
Yeah. Kitchen on wheels there. They're slinging
Kitchen
out.
on wheels.
Okay, so what are the different food categories that y'all try to earmark and say like one hamburger, one hot dog, whatever?
So you got like the barbecue is its own lane. You got like the hamburger hot dog, and then you have like the soul food, and then of course you have like the quesadillas and the tacos kind of in the same category, and then you have like the vegetarian option. Then you have the sweets, the desserts option too. So it's like 7 different categories, 7 or 8 different categories that are all kind of like broken down into.
Yeah, you could probably easily have 10 dessert categories because you've got like the funnel cakes and the ice creams, and then they have like the beignets here.
Cotton candy, candy apples. Man, just a lot of different options. And some I've seen some dessert trucks that just serve candy. Like,
oh wow. just like a Snickers.
Snickers bar. I've seen it.
Yeah. Yeah, we had one that was, of course, in New Orleans. When it gets hot, that Snowball vendor truck, man, they just making a killing over there.
Right.
Throwing out ice and sugar.
I've actually seen one, man, that I thought was pretty cool, and I only seen it one time, where they actually had a golf cart, and they just had like the icy machine connected to the golf cart. I was like, man, that's super efficient, man, especially like a festival, because you can just ride around.
Right.
You don't have to worry about being stationary in one spot. You can just ride around and just serve it on the go. But I've only seen it once, but I was like, man, I'm surprised.
That is a great idea. Yeah. It's kind of like the ice cream truck that's go driving through the neighborhoods.
Right. Exactly.
Serving kids. Okay, so let's talk about the arts and crafts, because I know some of them have them, some of them don't, but I love the ones that do. You'll have like a wall of food vendors, and on the opposite side of the park, you'll have all these different arts and crafts and people selling, whatever they do at like a local farmer's market or something. How do you manage those?
It's kind of similar. So we refer to them as the artisan vendors. And so we kind of we have them categorized just like how we do with food. And so depending on, again, like the magnitude of the event, we don't really want the people to have to compete with each other. So we try to level it out to where, it's fair for the vendors that are going to be there. We don't want 2 vendors or 2 or 3 vendors selling wooden products that they made, because, that just wouldn't be the most ideal for them. So we just have the artisan vendors as well. We just have them in categories, and we just select them based on the categories that they're in.
Okay.
And it's an application system. So apply online, and we go through the applications, and we select the ones that we feel like would be the best fit for the event.
All right, so let's talk about the revenue side. I know, sometimes these can be nice little money makers, but at least you want to break even. Aside from like, literally it raining on your festival, what are the kind of things that you've can cause a special event to really lose money that you want to stay focused on? And then what are some of the things that really help generate revenue so that at least the event can pay for itself if possible?
As far as losing, Man, the biggest thing is the weather. It's just when the weather is just not on our side and we're just
Mhm.
not able to either, for one, either have the event at all, or if the weather is just on and off all over the
Mhm.
place. You have people who might just, they're only able to stop by for a little while and then they have to leave. Or if the weather is questionable, you just have some people who just, they're just no shows because they just don't want to take the chance. So
Right.
that's honestly like the biggest factor. Like the biggest thing is potential bad weather.
Yeah. Yeah.
And as far as, well, generating revenue is sponsorship dollars.
Yeah.
That's really what we rely on because uh, besides one event, all of our other events are free to
Right.
the community. The only event that we've charged in the past is our Red, White, and Boom event, which is our 4th of July event. We've charged some years and some years we haven't, but everything else that we do is totally free. So we really rely heavy on sponsorship dollars to kind
Mm.
of to, to try to break even based off of those dollars that we're able to bring in through like sponsorships. But other than that, outside of like vendor fees, um, that's really our kind of like our go-to vendor fees and sponsorship dollars. But that's typically just how we kind of generate somewhat of some sort of revenue.
Right.
But because everything is free, we just want to do it for the community.
Right.
Come out, have a good time, stay safe, things like that.
Now, do you always want to make sure you're addressing, say, something for the kids, whether it's face painting, something for the older adults, something for like families and stuff, or how do you kind of compartmentalize? Hey, we got to have something for the kids. We got to have something for like the people want to watch the band.
Absolutely. So pretty much all of our events, we designate an area for the kids. We refer to it as the kid zone. And
Mm,
typically in that area, we'll have a balloon twister or arts and crafts or maybe some sort of like a magician, face painter, things like that, just to kind of keep them entertained and having a good time. But typically, it, most of our events, except for maybe Music on Main, we have some sort of like kid zone area designated for
mm.
our youth. I think
Now,
Music on Main might be the only one that we don't. I think every other event that we have a kid zone area.
now, do y'all sell any kind of? Do y'all have kind of your own booth for the actual event where you sell swag or T-shirts or anything like that?
No, man, but I think that's been something, man, that the community has suggested for the past forever
Yeah,
that
yeah,
we just haven't got around to, man.
yeah.
You're
We
surprised how many people reach out about T-shirts. Like, can I
right.
have a T-shirt?
Well,
You know?
I know one new Parks and Rec professional that was in charge of special events was looking to kind of cut expenses, and they were like, well, maybe this T-shirt's not that big of a deal. And then they came out with the pitchforks because this has been like a 30, 40-year event that people have been collecting every year, the T-shirt. And then they learned never do that again. Like always have the T-shirt there because people are looking to collect those.
Man, you probably wouldn't be surprised, but man, there's so many people. As soon as they come, where can I get a T-shirt? Right? But I don't. I think it's just I don't know why we haven't, but I think it's definitely something that we should maybe consider doing. But like ever since I've been here, I'm sure even prior to me coming on with City of Spartanburg, it's always been where can I get
Yeah.
a City of Spartanburg T-shirt, or where can I get a Music on Main shirt, or where can I get an
Yeah.
international festival shirt? Yeah, we get those questions all the time. But as of now, shirts are designated for staff and volunteers.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But I know we could really make some revenue off
Yeah.
swag. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely another little revenue stream. Plus, it kind of keeps people looking forward to the next event, keep them coming back for more. All right. So, as we're coming to the end of the show, I'd like for you to help me pitch not just the Parks and Rec industry in general, but working in special events. If you had a group of undecided high school or college kids that don't really kind of know what career path they want to choose, what would be your testimony to them as to why they may want to consider Parks and Rec, and then specifically working in special events inside of Parks and Recreation?
So I can start with Parks and Rec. So with Parks and Rec, I would say if you enjoy working with people, whether that's youth, whether that's senior citizens, whoever, I would 100% suggest that you look into working in a field like Parks and Rec, being able to give back to the community being able to actually be in the community and being able to serve, overall just serve the community on a high level. That's what kind of definitely drew me into Parks and Rec, just that community feel and community aspect of it, and special events specifically. I think my approach would be, I don't think that a lot of people realize that like working in special events is almost in a way like working in the entertainment business.
Right.
And so I think that pitch in itself, for someone who is maybe looking to work in the entertainment business on like a smaller scale, I mean, it's not obviously not Hollywood, or it's not necessarily like on that level, but it's definitely some form of like entertainment that I feel like is completely overlooked and goes over so many people's head, and it's like in your community that you just don't even think about. And so I think I would maybe push it, or maybe highlight it in a way that I think that people don't really see it as, and that's like working in entertainment.
Yeah. Yeah, because really, when you're young and you're just trying to get some experience and you want to work for a big production, say for concerts or something, they're looking for people with experience, and cities can give you a lot of great experience because you're still scheduling bands, finding sponsors, getting vendors, managing the whole thing. And so working in a Parks and Rec department on there, helping with special events can give you, quite a resume to then maybe go on and work for some of the bigger production companies.
And then too, like when you think about it, man, like even like the really big concerts that take place just throughout the country, the ones that take place in a park most likely belong to some type of government like entity or organization. So it's like some of these big community, or not big community, but big concerts that take place at parks is like, a lot of people don't realize, like, this is probably owned by, Parks and Rec.
Right.
It's just something that people just don't really think about, I don't think. And so it's like, yeah, if you are interested in working somewhat in the entertainment business, or just getting like some type of intro, or just learning maybe like the basics to it, I think special events could definitely be a field that you should, consider.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, Reggie, thank you so much for coming and share your journey with us on special events. Congratulations on the 30 under 30. We're looking to see big things from you as you kind of grow into this industry.
Thank you, Craig. Thank you for having me, man.
Yeah, no problem. Have a great rest of your week.
Thank you. You too.
Yeah, take care. All right. So that was kind of a little special episode that we had on special events. Reggie had a great little background on it. And I love that kind of pitch we made towards the end for people in Parks and Recreation if you're looking to get into the entertainment business, Parks and Recreation is a place where you can not only just cut your teeth, but maybe just stay with the city. Because, living in New Orleans, there is tons of special events every single weekend, festivals throughout the week. A lot of these are run by the Parks and Rec department, but some of these, kind of like Jazz Fest, take on a life of their own. And it's just, we've got Mardi Gras and Jazz Fest and Essence Fest and all kind of massive festivals that happen in our city. And I know we're not unique to that. A lot of cities put on a lot of special events throughout the year. I mean, every city's got to do like a 4th of July celebration, some type of little Easter egg hunt, Halloween celebration. I mean, I've never interviewed a city that doesn't have at least 10 special events that they run. And I like how Reggie was like, hey, it never stops. We finish one event and roll right into the next one. And so it just goes to show that there really is so many career paths within Parks and Recreation. So if you think that, well, if I join Parks and Recreation as a career, I'm only going to just be working with programming or the senior centers. Well, not so. Like if you want to get experience in entertainment, special events might be a good place for you. If you want to work with aquatics, we have like massive aquatic centers throughout the country that are run by Parks and Rec department. So there really is something for almost every career path inside of Parks and Recreation. I know oftentimes we get pigeonholed into thinking that we're just going to run the community center. And of course you could do that, but there's so much more to offer a young professional coming into this industry. They can really find something for almost everybody. All right, so that's all we have for y'all today. Appreciate y'all coming on the show. Thank you for all of our show guests and our show sponsors that have got us this far. And we are coming up on our 500th episode. Probably going to be hit sometime next week. I would think we would hit it. So I need to figure out who that show guest is going to be and maybe do something special for that. But anyway, thank y'all for attending today. We'll see y'all here again tomorrow. Thanks a lot. Bye.
Before the game, before the lights, before the pressure, there's a moment most people never see. Welcome to The Athlete's Commute, a podcast distributed by DPRS Media Network, co-produced by Her Sports, and hosted by Jordan Ziff. Each episode, Jordan gets behind the wheel, driving athletes to practice, to training, to game day, while getting to know who they really are beyond the jersey. The mindset, the grind, the sacrifices, the moments no one talks about. No scripts, no filters, just real conversations in real motion. Because every athlete has a journey, and every journey deserves to be heard. This is The Athlete's Commute. Buckle up.
Are you a vendor, brand, or service provider ready to connect with the heartbeat of local communities? At DPRS Media Co., we tell the stories shaping parks and recreation across America. Through podcasts, live streams, videos, and newsletters, we reach frontline leaders, city directors, and decision makers every single week. From youth sports and facilities to programming and policy, our audience is your audience. Sponsoring or partnering with DPRS Media Co. puts your brand in front of the professionals who build, budget, and buy for their communities. Launching a new product, growing your presence in public spaces, targeting cities, counties, or departments, DPRS is your trusted media partner. Whether you're in software, turf, aquatics, robotics, smart cities, or special events, partnering with DPRS puts your brand in the story. With commercials, interviews, social campaigns, newsletters, and live shows, we're your media team. Partner with us and grow your impact in the $200 billion parks and rec industry. DPRS Media Co. Stories that move parks and rec forward. Your audience is here. Let's meet them.